Hello and welcome to this week's CareerWise, the show that helps you get the very best out of your career. This week, the subject is mentoring. It's always been a crucial aspect of professional development, and recently there's been a massive increase in the number of courses and programmes to assist in the mentoring process. We'll be going to Yorkshire to find out how teachers are getting professional recognition from the GTCE's new Teacher Learning Academy for their mentoring work.
We think that there are quite a number of teachers now who are working in this area of mentoring who deserve some kind of recognition for the work that they've been doing in their own schools.
And Fiona Flynn from the TES will be finding out about co-coaching. It's mentoring, but not as we know it.
Talking to each other, and the thing that strikes me the most is that no one appears to be in charge.
No one's in charge because we're both the same level.
The quality of mentoring that trainee teachers receive is crucial, especially with the advent of the graduate training programme. Mentoring is a role with a lot of responsibility, and it's now possible to get professional recognition from the GTCE through their Teacher Learning Academy. The Mentor Network, that was set up by Janet Blackburn in Yorkshire 3 years ago, is encouraging its members to make the most of this.
The whole issue of mentoring isn't always straightforward. So what we do, we start every session that we meet with an item called Natter and a Niggle, and I think that will give you some idea of the purpose of that, because people are constantly meeting new problems. They want to talk it through, and how do other people handle it?
I'm improving all of the time by working with the mentees.
After how many years teaching? Are you going to admit that?
I've got to admit it, after 30 years.
But then we've also done some of the training sessions that the TTA, as it was, initiated a school-based training. So it was not just a problem-sharing thing, but it also in terms of taking forward people's training as regards being better skilled mentors.
On top of being a classroom teacher, Kay Williams has mentored ITT students for the last 3 years.
It was Janet that actually found out about the accreditation and asked us if we were interested, and we all thought it was fantastic because we've been doing mentoring for so long, and it's nice to get some recognition for it, because it is a lot of extra work, and it's nice to be recognised for it.
We think that there are quite a number of teachers now who are working in this area of mentoring who deserve some kind of recognition for the work that they've been doing in their own schools. The feedback that I've got from them is that they are getting some kind of recognition for the mentoring that they are doing and for the work that perhaps in the past might have been taken for granted. It's also useful because they can use it as a definite evidence of the quality of the work that they're doing. It's somebody else saying to them that they're doing a good job and that they're doing it well.
If you'd like to find out more, check out the GTCE's website. It's time to be joined once again by our career expert Jan McKinley to find out how NQTs can get the very best out of their mentor. What should NQTs do to make sure this relationship works?
Well, for start, it's a relationship in roles. So you're the newly qualified teacher, they're the experienced tutor stroke mentor. So you've just got to manage that relationship in terms of getting as much from them as you can. There are very clearly defined tasks that a mentor has to do with an NQT. There's a script, there's a series of activities, but over and above that, there's all that learning that you can get about the relationships, about how to manage certain dynamics in the school, that are available to you.
Do NQTs sometimes focus on the personal side of that mentor relationship rather than working through all the levels of learning that they're supposed to?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's about working through those levels of learning. You know, that elsewhere and at other times in your career, you're choosing a mentor because you want to develop a certain part of your career or part of your skill set, and it's within your control. This one will seem out of your control, but it's not for very long. You've just got to get on with it.
Wise words as always, Jan. Thanks very much indeed. Joining me now are Barry Joy, Head of Mentoring at the IOE, and John Bangs, Head of CPD at the NUT, to discuss developments in mentoring and coaching. Barry, John, welcome to CareerWise. I should say that it's Barry and John, not Barry John, the famous Welsh rugby player. At this point, mentoring's been touted, Barry, as a kind of cure-all, something that does wonderful things to all aspects of training. Has the case been overstated?
I think in some respects it might have been that everyone thinks mentoring and coaching in that respect can work wonders. They can, but it doesn't guarantee that all mentoring coaching is necessarily of a good quality. It works well when the quality is there.
John, does a teacher have to have a particular mindset, do you think?
I think they have to feel that they have nothing to fear from classroom observation, that they trust their peers to actually involve themselves in coaching in a way which they feel supportive. And I think there's a second issue. One of the great problems with coaching and mentoring is that you can move from a position of trust to a position where one person is controlling the other subtly, and that is an issue.
Barry, you've done impact studies for mentoring in terms of teacher training. What were the conclusions?
Well, they've been very positive. The ones we've done in London, we've worked with both head teachers, training head teachers to mentor coach other head teachers, and also training middle leaders in schools to mentor coach other middle leaders. And that's been extremely positive. It's actually providing a quiet time when people can be listened to and feel valued and respected. And in that way, as that begins to spread across a school, you begin to develop a very special kind of climate, a culture of mentoring coaching, which is very special. Boy, do you know you've got it when you're in the school where it's happening.
John, what percentage of mentoring projects would you say are doing what they're supposed to do, and what needs to be done to help the others reach that standard?
Well, we've had a lot of very positive experiences out of peer coaching. We've concentrated on encouraging teachers who have been on our teacher-to-teacher programs, that's pairs of teachers who work together and test out what they've learnt on a course in the classroom, and they've observed each other. And we've wanted to encourage those teachers to become self-confident peer coaches and to move on to mentoring perhaps of graduate and registered teachers, for example, looking after students and ensuring that they get the benefit of their expertise. It has been a very, very positive process. It is now allied with very important new developments in the teacher's pay structure. For instance, when you have a look at the new draft excellent teacher standards, you are expected to be skilled in coaching and mentoring, and also to provide professional development in coaching and mentoring for other teachers in the school as well. So I agree with Barry, this is pretty central stuff. It can be really positive. My only concern, and I don't want to actually over-egg that concern, is that if it's too allied with a high stakes system of pay, then you're going to get people presenting what they want the other person to hear rather than being honest about their strengths and weaknesses.
God forbid anyone should do a teaching job for the money. Thanks very much indeed to both of you for joining us in CareerWise today. Well, mentoring clearly has an awful lot to offer the profession. And the latest big thing in teacher-to-teacher professional development is co-coaching. Fiona's at a school in Essex to do some on-the-ground research.
We all know about mentoring, but co-coaching seems to be the new in thing. Is it just a buzzword? I've come along to see it in action. Marie and Tanya started together as NQTs 6 years ago, and they've always been there for each other. Now there's a label for their relationship. It's called co-coaching. So, Sally, these two have been talking to each other for the last 6 years. Why did the school decide to formalise it and make co-coaching official?
I mean, co-coaching is something that we're really keen to do as a school. You know, encouraging teachers to talk together is what it's all about. That's how we develop.
Mentoring's quite established, isn't it? But co-coaching is something that I haven't come across before. Has one grown out of the other?
I don't think one's grown out of the other. I mean, I think co-coaching has always gone on. People have always wanted to talk, you know, oh, I've had a terrible lesson, let's talk about why. I don't think that's changed. Mentoring is a word we've used for a long time. Co-coaching, I think the landscape is totally open. You can decide what you want to really explore. You might say, oh, let's look at our assessment. Let's try some new things here. And you can get together with someone, really come up with some innovative new ideas and see how they go. Okay, so if a school management team want to set up the kind of culture that you've developed in the school over a period of, you know, a long period of time, you've got it going really successfully, but they're just starting out, what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give to them? One thing we're using is called the research lesson study, where two teachers will get together, they'll plan a lesson together, often will be cross subjects. Maybe they'll have the same theme. We both want to look at how pupils are going to use self-assessment in project work. So it might be someone from PE and someone from maths getting together, talking about planning a lesson. So the maths teacher will sit down like, this is how I'm going to teach this subject, but PE teacher may well be able to ask, well, why are you doing that? Why is it like that? Don't you think the pupils would respond well to this? And it actually teases out a lot of issues and can make the lesson quite different. And it doesn't look like it's, oh, well, they're saying they're no good at this. You know, it's that whole area of trust, and that was key from day one.
Right. I'm going to go and butt in on these two and see if I can learn something from them. Hi, thank you so much for letting me sit in. I've been watching this session where you've been talking to each other, and the thing that strikes me the most is that no one appears to be in charge.
No, no one's in charge, because we're both the same level, so no one takes... I mean, sometimes Marie might have more knowledge on one certain thing, so she'll take charge, sometimes I will, but it's definitely we're both on the same level.
So, do you have an agreed agenda between you before you start, or do you each bring your own list of things that you want to talk about?
Depends on what our work commitments are. So most of our co-coaching sessions are really informal, and it will be when I've dropped into the languages office and we just end up sitting down over lunch and
or I come and
talking,
see you,
or Tanya will come and see me, or but we rarely have a written agenda down. It's normally just a conversation that happens and keeps going.
I noticed that you were sharing resources with each other. I was thinking that must save a huge amount of time in terms of, instead of spending 2 hours researching into something, you can tap off each other. Do you do that
it's
quite
excellent.
a lot?
We do.
No one feels that, well, that's my idea, I'm keeping it to myself. It's a very open environment here, and everyone talks about the ideas that they've had, and then that makes other people more positive and motivated.
Yeah. So Tanya, is trust the key then to making mentoring and co-coaching work?
I think it is, and I think you always have to be assertive about finding someone that you do trust. So if, for example, you've been working in a school where you don't get on that well with your mentor, where there isn't trust there, you need to go and seek someone that you are going to get on with, so that trust can happen.
If somebody was thinking of taking on co-coaching, you know, in their own job, in their own school, you know, what would be your piece of advice to make sure that it works for them and doesn't just become another meeting that has to be gone through and another box that's got to be ticked?
You need to make sure that people get something out of it, and you need to be open with each other about things and say, right, I'm going to try this, but maybe it won't work, maybe it will. But I think if something does work, the benefits that it has to that particular teacher and the classes that they teach far outweigh any sort of workload criteria that people might be thinking about, because you do get so much from just talking to each other.
And I don't see it
ideas.
as being a hassle to have to meet up. I think I really do get a lot out of it, getting someone else's point of view who's on the same level and it's not someone that's looking down on you or thinking, oh, I wouldn't do things like that. We're taking risks together in that sense.
It's been really useful and interesting to be able to sit in on this, very quiet, intimate little honest chat that you've had with each other, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you'd like to find out more information on any of the items featured in this week's show, do check out the website. The address is www.teachers.tv/careerwise.